Hey everybody! I wanted to take time today to show you what I do when I have an old picture or an old painting that either I didn't love or that never quite got finished, and take it and completely do a 180. So I'm starting with something this week that was basically a very busy background. So it was bright red, bright orangey yellow, and some purple. And I completely flipped it. I upped the drama from a black perspective, a bunch of black and white, some celadon, and added a little bit of like a teal color in there, and completely transformed it into a new painting that I like a lot better. So if you're interested in seeing what happens, please keep watching. Thanks everyone. All right, so I am going to work on a panel that I started a long time ago, probably a couple years at this point, and never did anything with. I decided I would see what I could make of it, and I'm going to have some texture. I'm not sure what you can see on the video, but there's a lot of paint on here. There's no collage yet. So I'm going to start by putting down some collage. And I'm going to overlap the edges a bit because I can always trim that back when everything's dry. So I'm going to put a bunch of stuff on here. I'm not sure that I really need this much, but why not? Now this is a pretty thick piece of paper, so it's probably not my best choice to start with, but why not? So when you're using something thick, it's good to go over the edges a few times. And put a little extra down. If you think you need more, you need more. Hopefully that'll prevent against air pockets and air bubbles. All right, so my goal here is just to create differences in texture down here. And maybe I'll keep it really simple and just use white and black. I spent a lot of time the past year, year and a half working with paper and not as much time spent with panels. Whereas previous to last year, I spent a lot more time with panels and canvases. So I'm interested in combining the two a bit more. See what I can come up with. All right, again, I overlapped this. Just so there would be no chance of not having it far enough against the edge. All right, let's see, more black and white since I've started down this path. You know, I really like this one. And that one. And this one. Okay. Do this, and I'll wait for them to dry. So now that I've let this dry and trimmed off the edges of the paper, I'm going to add some color. And by color, in this case, I'm going to be adding some pretty muted Celadon for now. And I purposely left some of the yellow and red underneath just to keep some of the past work that so it lives on somewhere. Well, this isn't set yet. I can go in, pull some of it away. And that helps me further refine the shape. And texture for future layers. All right, so looking at this, I feel like it's pretty muted. And I don't want it to be quite as muted as it is, although I do really like the interaction here with the red. Let's see. Recommend keeping a nail handy at your workspace if you're using bottles like I am, because sometimes the tips get clogged. All right. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this phthalo blue and mix it in with my Celadon. And we'll use a brush. Looking for a small brush because I have a lot of thick lines here and I want to get a little bit daintier. Oh, you know what I'll do? So this is my stick brush that I really enjoy using because it helps me have marks that are not very predictable. So I'm going to start here and move my way down. Okay, so that's enough of something. And then I can carve it in here. Well, I don't need to work on that. Okay, so now I'm going to add some black. And I'm still going to use the same color shaper. And I'm going to use two types of black. I'm going to use regular carbon black, and then this is called bone black, and it has a bit of, I don't know, it's more transparent than carbon black. So it gives you some interesting texture without losing opacity. Sorry, without losing detail from opacity. All right, so I'm going to start with the opaque carbon black. And I'm just going to go around and make some choices. I'm not exactly even sure what choices to make right now. So I'm working with shapes. I'm working with details. I'm working without the one tool that I wanted for this exercise that I forgot to set out. I don't know. All right, but I think something like this. And then I'm going to take some paper and lift some of this up. Because I don't want this whole thing to be black. Whoa! Lost one of my lights. Okay. And it might be too late for this since I was working on something else, or looking for something else, but I'm going to add a little bit of water and see if I can peel that back a bit. So as you can see, carbon black is very black, and it will quickly cover up a great deal. So let's see here. Yeah, it's not working with my spray. But now that I've sprayed this, I wonder if I can move some of it around. No, not really. Okay, see a little bit is coming through here. So some of the paint that's not quite dry is still affecting this area. And adding a bit of water helped that move it around. Okay, so now I have some bone black that I can add. You see how this is not very opaque. It's just really picks up the texture. So that's kind of a fun black to use because it just helps things look very interesting. I will put some spray on that, trying to get some big drops. And because I'm using open paint, so this is Golden Open, and the open means that it takes longer to dry, so it's more similar to oil paint. I've never actually used oil paint, so I can't tell you if it's a great comparison or not, but it does leave a lot more time so that you can scrape some off and move it around without drying too quickly. And actually, I don't really love that. So you can also wipe it away more quickly too. Okay. What I'm going to use is my screwdriver. So I'm hoping that I can still scratch in to this black. To make some interesting marks there. Hopefully that shows up on the camera. Oh, there we go. There's some red. That's what I'm looking for. So that's a really nice pop of color. That makes me happy. Okay, so some of my collage, because I scraped so hard and pushed with my screwdriver instead of pulled, did pull some of this up, but that's not a big deal. I can easily paint over that. If I get enough paint on my paintbrush, my color shaper. You can also leave it. It's not the look I'm going for, but not a big deal. Lost some of my scratch marks in there, so I'm just going to add a few more. And if you go back to look at the beginning of this painting, when I had just red and orange and some purple, it's definitely very different now. And it didn't take me very long. I am going to add back some of the white. This will do a couple things. One, it'll give me a little bit more of the lighter scale for my overall composition. And the other thing is, it will just give me more depth, because having the white on top of the black just leaves a different feel than having black on top only. Not sharp enough. Let's see. Sometimes I carve in, even when it doesn't take the paint off, it still leaves that shape. I'll show you what you can do with that in a minute. Picking up more. I didn't wait quite a long enough time for my collage to fully dry, which is why these parts are picking up as I'm carving them out. I was trying to hurry it up for this video, so that is my bad. So if you let it dry long enough, that won't happen. All right.
All right, so a little bit more white up here.
Okay, so you can do a couple things right now. One, you could add more collage, which would very quickly brighten things up if you wanted to do that, right? Maybe I will do some of that. I also always like these marks. I'm not sure about that yet, but I do like this here. The thing right now is I'm not sure I want to add more black. But I would like to add something of interest. So maybe that is just another color. We'll put this down. You know what, I'm gonna do it. I have so many loose edges up here. Kind of want to have a really crisp edge somewhere. So see how all these are really rough, and then this will be a nice crisp edge. What about this piece? Oh, I do like this. I like that. So this gives me a nice crisp edging. If I can stick it on so it stays. I don't want it to go all the way down. Okay, so we've got that going. Okay, so I've got this now. Certainly has enough black. And I'm wondering what else I could add to either brighten it up a little bit or just keep it interesting. I'm not sure that's it. But I'm also not sure it's not. Well, either way, I think we need some more white. Or I need some more white. You may disagree, and that's okay. Put this on a little bit thicker. This palette knife. I'm going to now, I feel like I'm getting closer, but I still need, or I still want a bit more color. So I'm going to use that. Now instantly, because it's so high contrast as it is, there's a lot going on. I think that's what I'm looking for. All right, now I'm going to do a full layer of gloss on here. And I might try some glazing. If I gloss now, do some gloss medium now, it will allow me to wipe it off better if I decide I don't like the glazing. So quick layer of medium here. Seal everything in that I've done. So far. All right, let that dry for a minute. All right, that feels dry. I'm going to use a little quinacridone gold. Just a bit. All right, it warms it up just the slightest bit. Excellent. Connect some of these areas. Try and decide if I want to. I think I want to connect like that. And then I'm going to carry this through here. All right, guys. With that, I'm going to stop here. I like this here, so I'm going to sit with it for a few days and see what happens. Thanks for joining me.